Welcome to Conquering Your Clownfish, a podcast dedicated to transforming disabilities into special abilities. I'm your host, Brady Murray.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Conquering Your Clownfish. I'm Misty Coy Snyder, Brady's co-host, and I am thrilled to welcome back a returning guest to the show, Amanda Griffith-Atkins. Amanda is a therapist, writer, and mom of 3 boys, one of whom has Prader-Willi. Sorry, I messed that up already. It's Prader-Willi syndrome.
Willie.
Prader-Willi. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Conquering Your Clownfish. I'm Misty Coy Snyder, Brady's co-host, and I'm thrilled to welcome back a returning guest to the show, Amanda Griffith-Atkins. Amanda is a therapist, a writer, and mom of 3 boys, one of whom has Prader-Willi syndrome. Her mission is to create space for parents to talk about the hard stuff. Because while there's often pressure to stay positive, Amanda believes there's a real strength in vulnerability. And she's back today to talk about her new book, How to Handle More Than You Can Handle, that was released in June. It's not a parenting book. It's a compassionate guide for parents of high needs kids to care for their own mental and emotional health. And we can't wait to dive right in and talk about it. So Amanda, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Misty. It's so nice to be here.
It's so good to see you. Now, for those who may not have heard your previous episode with Brady on the show or need a refresher, can you share a bit about your story and leading up to writing this book?
Yeah, absolutely. So my son, Asher, is 16 now. And, my husband and I, nobody really plans to get thrown into this life, right, of parenting a child with a high support needs disability. When my husband and I were 26, I just finished grad school and we gave birth to Asher. And 7 weeks after he was born, we got his diagnosis, which was Prader-Willi syndrome. And part of a chromosome is missing. And basically what that means for him is cognitive delays, physical delays. And the part about this syndrome that really makes it unique is that there's an insatiable hunger, meaning the part of his brain that registers hunger and thirst doesn't work properly. And so he feels hungry all the time. And, that's it. When you really think about what that means for life, it looks like locking up our fridge, locking up our pantry, a lot. And you think about how many events revolve around food, social events, right? Like really somebody needs to have an eye on him almost 24/7. We have a nanny, he's 16 and we have a nanny that comes and watches him in the summer. And so it really is fully life-changing to have a child with this level of disability. And I noticed for a long time the constant platitudes, God won't give you more than you can handle, or, kids are resilient. God gives special kids to special people, right? These platitudes just didn't sit well with me because I felt like there was such unfairness for us, but also for him to have to live this way. It just felt like there needed to be room for grief. There needed to be room for anger. And I really felt like in order to get to a place of acceptance, I had to kind of continually go through these grieving processes of what we had lost by kind of being given this life. And so I just noticed such resistance from whether it was people in my life or just the general community about really naming the hard things. When someone says, "How are you doing?" If you answer, "Not very good. Today was a really bad day." Oftentimes you're met with a look that's like, "I don't know what to do with this," and so I sort of made it my life mission to just simply allow space for parents to talk about the hard stuff. And ironically, through that, I think I've created such a community of joy because it feels like when we're able to actually talk about the hard stuff, the hard days, the fact that, oh my gosh, today was a terrible day and I don't think I can do it tomorrow. That vulnerability, that intimacy actually opens up space for like true community and connection. And then before you know it, you're laughing, you're maybe having a little bit of dark humor about it, but whatever it takes to get through it, suddenly you're being seen and you don't feel like you have to push down these parts of you that feel shameful. So I kind of got this idea to write a book, and through a series of kind of like amazing events was connected to an agent and then got a book deal. And so it's really just been, to me, it's opened up this whole door of parents processing the hard stuff, which has in turn made them more able to connect with their true senses of self and live lives that feel meaningful and joyful. So yeah,
Well, and congratulations on the book.
thank you.
I think, it's going to touch a lot of lives, and I'm speaking from personal experience because I've followed your page for quite some time. I'm almost 5 years into the journey with my son Jed, who has Down syndrome,
Yes.
and there are moments and times where you just don't have words for that hard and good mixed
Yes.
together. And I'm so grateful for the space that you've created on Instagram for that. And now to have a book as a resource that is going to be so hugely helpful for so many like me. As I was browsing through your Instagram page recently, there was a post that said something that I really connected with. My brain can't tell just sick from an emergency anymore. After watching my child go through so many medical crises, my body stays in constant hypervigilance. Now every symptom seems life threatening. That's not overreacting, that's trauma.
Yes.
And I had just been speaking with someone at a conference about this. Will you talk more about that?
Yes. Like I've said, Asher's 16 now. So we are, and thankfully, he's a pretty healthy kid now. But early on, he had a series of years where every time he got sick, he would have a seizure. And I feel like that once I got some space from those events, I realized, oh my gosh, when my kids, all of my kids, not even just my disabled son, when all my children get sick, my brain goes into this is an emergency. And
Yes.
I watch my friends who haven't went through this and I'm like, your kid has a 101 fever. Like, are you okay? And they're just like, oh yeah, it's fine. We're just giving him the day off school. Have some popsicles. He'll be fine. And like my brain is broken because it no longer can think like a normal human being when my child's sick. And so once I had space from like the emergencies, I was able to be like, to observe, wow, I respond so differently from other people because, and then a lot of what I talk about in the book is having self-compassion, being able to look at it compassion and be like, of course I respond to it like it's an emergency. It was an emergency for years, and it could still be an emergency, as parents of disabled children, complex disabled children, like it's a fine line between they're totally fine versus like, we might need to go to the ER. I'm not quite sure
Yeah.
what's going on. So we do have to be hyper vigilant, but that hypervigilance doesn't always serve us. But the times it does serve us, it's worth it. So I just think it's a part of our brain that is forever transformed into something that just doesn't work like other people's anymore. And I think that in some ways that's really hard because there is a part of us that's always on high alert, and that's exhausting.
Absolutely. I was just on a plane and, like I said, at the conference, and every time I heard people coughing, sneezing, blowing their nose, and I was close by, I never was this person, but
Yes,
I'm immediately running to the sanitizer and like getting my vitamins. And because if I get sick, he'll get sick. And we've
exactly.
had so many hospital stays that's ingrained in my
Yes,
body, right?
yes,
And I feel that even if parents might not have had that medical experience to one way or another, there has been some experience, whether it's the diagnosis or whether it's, an encounter outside that was difficult. We all have experienced these deep rooted things that sometimes will come out in strange ways
yes.
and or pretty normal ways
Yeah,
considering what we faced. But I'm curious to know, I think some of those feelings can lead to some guilt,
yeah.
for wishing our child had a different diagnosis or that their lives were easier. Can you speak to some of
Yeah, absolutely. And in the book, I talk a lot about guilt because I noticed even when I was interviewing parents, even if the topic wasn't guilt, somehow it would always come back to guilt. And the process of acknowledging our hard feelings and feeling guilt just seems to be a direct line there because it's ingrained in us that if I feel anything but positive about this diagnosis, I'm a bad mom. Or if I ever have a thought that thinks, I wish my child wasn't disabled, that means that you're not an ally. That means that you're not grateful for what you have, that you wish your kid was different, right? And so, again, that idea of self compassion, I think when I think about, do I wish my son didn't have the struggles that he had? Yes. I mean, that feels like a loving mom response to say, I wish that if Asher someday wanted to have children, that he would be able to, or part of his diagnosis is infertility. And I wish that if someday he wanted to live on his own, he would be able to. If he wanted to get a driver's license, I wish that he would be able to. And, I think that feeling of guilt comes from feeling that it's wrong that we feel this way, right? Like I said, good moms don't feel this way. Good dads don't feel this way. I always make I always say, good parents are special needs warriors wearing the ribbon, out at the walk or the 5K or whatever. They're out there like, and we are all doing those things. I have no doubt. And there's times where I wish that wasn't a part of my life, if I'm being honest. And so again, that idea of self-compassion, right? Like looking at it, trying to step back and being like, of course, I wish that our lives weren't consumed by this struggle. I wish that my son's life, more than anything, wasn't consumed by this. Is there beauty in disability? Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's also a lot of hardship. And that's just the reality, right? And so acknowledging, like you said, that all of these things can exist at the same time and it's all just part of the journey. And we're doing ourselves a disservice if we just say, okay, well, the hard parts I'm going to put over here because those are uncomfortable. Those make people uncomfortable. Those make me feel bad about myself. And I'm only going to focus on the disability pride, the strengths, the things that my child is doing well. We're really doing ourselves a disservice because we're not allowing ourselves to feel the full vastness of this journey. And I think in order to really feel the disability pride, the joy, the celebration, we have to allow ourselves to feel this side too. And this side sucks. It's hard. It's depressing. It's anxiety provoking, but it's real,
I loved how you very specifically use the word and instead of but.
Yes.
So you're showing up to the events and you're cheering your child on and shouting their worth and their beauty, and I just did it. And
that's right. And
you're going through the difficult things, right? We think it has to be either or.
We do. I think it's ingrained in us. In my book, I talk a lot about toxic positivity. How many t-shirts have you seen that say good vibes only? And it's like, that is really a theme of our culture right now. Good vibes only.
That's really true.
Where does that come from? Where does this like avoidance of the hard feelings? I know they're uncomfortable, but they're not bad.
Right.
They're not bad.
Right. Well, and I think, yes. And I think that, I know that you touch on this a bit in your book, and I'd love for you to share about it. But, so many of us who wanted to be parents and pursue that avenue and have their child or for those who struggle to have children, there's this cultural thing ingrained in us that we have to be grateful for what we have and we have to be anything other than grateful in any moment is just not okay. Right. And so I would love for you to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Just sort of that pressure to always have a smiley face. I mean, the reality is life, the human experience is full of emotion. Like we are able to feel such a range of emotions as humans. I have this emotions wheel pillow in one of my office, and every time I look at it, I'm like, I forget. It's like, you see anger, you see happiness, you see sadness, but even within each of those, it branches out despair. There's so many more feelings. And if we really think about what am I feeling right now, it's so quick to boil it down to I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm happy, or I feel good, or I feel bad. But even within that, our feelings are little touch points. They give us information, right? It's a sixth sense that we have. Like I almost wish emotional reaction or emotions were another one of our sixth senses, because it feels like that's an important way that we experience the world. It really is. And it gives us information onto what we're feeling. Even one step further, our feelings give us information on how to take care of ourselves, which I think is so important. Yeah. That self-awareness on a day when I'm feeling, actually today I woke up, my body was kind of sore. I was kind of in a bad mood. I was late for this podcast recording. And I was thinking like, man, like I am feeling it today. Like, so then that makes me think, okay, well, now I have an open hour at 10 where I thought I was going to be in a podcast recording. What do I need to do to get myself back on track today? So even by noticing my emotions and caring for them, that gives me insight onto how I can take care of myself, which then, and I'm careful in the book to make sure that this isn't the whole point, but this is part of it. then I can show up better for my family. I can show up better for my son who's sitting in the room over here, and it's all, I think by pushing down our emotions, we're just missing out on such an important part of life that really helps us live more fuller, more beautiful lives in a lot of ways.
Yes. Yes. That's so good, Amanda. And it's so needed. I know at the conference this weekend, I was walking to an event and I ran into some moms and we were talking about the guilt and the varied feelings of being away from our kids for this
Yes.
event. Here we are at this event, um, learning and growing and connecting for our children. And so that line can always be, this is for the kids, this is for advocating, this is for learning, this is for growing. And those are all wonderful things. But I was there and I was exhausted. I was so overstimulated. I'm an extroverted extrovert, but I
Yes.
was so overstimulated and I can feel it today. I'm like, whoa, I feel like I've been hit by a Mack truck. And I
Yeah.
loved how you said like that, listening to what's going on internally in us, not specifically, it doesn't have to be so that I can be a better mom, so that I can be better for
Exactly.
Jed, but because I'm a whole human being.
Yes. I love that. And so like, what does that tell you? That says, okay, you already have a busy day. You said you have something after this. You start out your day with an interview. So you need some time tonight, if possible, to have some downtime where you can sit in your room and read a book, sit in the backyard. You know, you need some time where you can just decompress and not have someone talking to you because you're like, I'm feeling drained. I got to get back on track for you,
Yes.
you know?
Yes. And I think that being in the space that you and I are in, which most parents who have children with a disability find them place in one time or another, being an advocate and
Yeah.
being a strong force in the community, you can tend to wear that hat like all the time.
Yes.
It's that hypervigilance that you said. And I'm actually realizing I have to take that hat off sometimes.
Yes, you
Like
do.
I do need to just sit down and not read anything related to Down syndrome or just
No. Yeah, and that's something I talk about in the book too, is like, what brings you joy? That's a question that I want every parent to be able to answer. There's the answers of spending time with my children, connecting to other parents, blah, 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 all that stuff. And that's very important to who we are. But there's also, if you can remove that for a moment, what brings you joy? I love horror films. I love being out in nature. I love connecting to animals. Like these are things I love doing all those things with my kids, but I also love doing them by myself too. So, every parent should be able to answer what brings you joy. Where do you find rejuvenation? And some people would say, I do find that with my kids and my family. And that's not a bad answer. That's perfectly fine if that's the reality. For me, I need a break from my kids. I'm just going to be honest.
yes, and the break from our kids should not always be to go and learn about our kids.
Or get groceries or take a shower. Although all that's fine if that helps. But for me, again, I need like unstructured, I need not a to-do list for me. And I
Yes.
know that's rare. I know that's rare. And some people might be listening to this being like, well, must be nice. I don't have time for that. But then there's this idea of micro self-care, which I've been reading about lately, which is like, like I said, okay, I thought I had the podcast recording at 10. I ended up having it at 9. Okay, so I have an hour. I won't be able to take the whole hour, I'm sure. But what if for 15 minutes of that, I can like go for a walk? Or I can, now I have a little more time. I can make myself avocado toast for breakfast. Like what is a little way, micro self-care? We're not talking, oh, I'm going to go get a massage. I'm going to go get a pedicure. I'm going to go out on a girls' night. We're talking what's one little way that you can fuel yourself in this moment to take care of yourself, right?
So good. Because I do think I'll put pressure on myself to plan this big ornate thing, but then
Yes,
that's more pressure. And I've
exactly.
already weighed down mine.
Yes. Yeah. So we're looking for little ways that you can fuel yourself to just simply take care of yourself the same way that we do for our kids, right? The same way we do for our kids.
Yeah, it's so good. What would you say to that? I mean, you've said so many gems already, but what would you say to that mom or that dad or that caregiver that's sitting out there right now and going like, easier said than done. I'm so overwhelmed right now. I'm thinking about myself specifically when we came out of weeks of the hospital
Yes.
and you're just like in like any beep, anything like it's that medical trauma piece where you're in survival mode and thinking about just doing anything, taking a shower
Yes.
can be overwhelming. What would you say to encourage that person who's out there right now?
Oh, I mean, I know that feeling. I've been there, and it's really all consuming. Someone at that stage might listen to this podcast and be like, they're in a different world than me. Like, I don't even have time to go to a conference. I don't even have time to, whatever, fill in the blank. And so I would just say at that point, it's like, can you just slow down in your body? Like, can you just like drink a glass of water and like notice what you're feeling? I'm feeling really overwhelmed. I'm feeling really scared. That thing in the hospital was terrifying. And just offer yourself compassion. Or do you have a good friend that you can call that can say like, that was really scary? Someone that can validate your experience, someone that can, do you have family or someone that can bring you a meal? Like, where can you ask for help? Right? That's another thing I think too, is that sometimes if we're not able to care for ourselves, do you have a grandparent come into town? Do you have a church that can help provide food? Do you have friends? Do you have community? And again, knowing that that's a luxury and some people don't have that either. But I would say if you're in a place where you're just like, your nervous system is fried, you have no energy to do anything, I would say slow down. The word that comes to mind for me is grounding. Can you sit in your chair with a glass of water and just breathe and just be like, I don't need to do anything for 10 minutes. I can sit in this chair. I can feel what I'm feeling without it breaking me, and then I can get up and go about my day. I mean, really, I think in the beginning days for me, that would have been hard. I think that I would have felt like I need to be doing something. My heart's beating fast. I'm anxious. I'm stressed. I cannot sit here for 10 minutes. That's really where we are in the beginning.
I know, it's so true, and it's so true what you said, that there's probably someone thinking, "I'll never get there. I'll never get to the place where I can take that time. I'm too stressed and my body
Yes.
is too I've got too many things to do." But we do, and it's bit by bit, right? It's not like overnight. It's bit by
Yes.
bit. We can do those small things that make such a difference.
Yes.
And I think being aware, I loved how you said of what brings you joy.
Yeah.
That's huge. For me, it's not horror, it's crime shows, but
Oh, I'll take a crime show too. I love it. I love a crime show.
but then I'm sitting there watching and going, "Actually, this is kinda scary. Misty, is this the best thing for your nervous system?"
Then I'm like walking out to my car and it's dark and I'm like, oh no, someone's coming after me. This can't be good. Just what we need.
Reevaluating.
Romance. Maybe we need romance, right? I don't know.
Whatever you have to do. I mean, for me, we just went to the beach a couple weeks ago, and
Great.
every time I'm standing on the beach, just looking out at the vastness,
Yes.
it gets me out of that tiny little it's not tiny because it's big to us, but that place of obsession and
I love that.
stressing and just being able
Yes.
to look out and see the vastness.
I love that. To be like, the world is bigger than me. Like, yes, my struggles are so real and so all consuming, but also it's good to have the perspective that like, it's a big world. There's a lot of suffering. There's a lot of joy, right? And it's not, we need to allow space for all of it.
Yes,
Huge.
I love it. I had wanted to ask you a question specifically about Asher, and I'm going to still ask it, but I
Yeah.
want to ask it for you too.
Yes.
What would you say is your biggest dream for Asher? And I want you to be included in that as his
Yes,
mom.
it makes me feel emotional. I love that. I love that. Wow, my biggest dream for Asher. Nobody has ever asked me that. What a great question. My biggest dream for Asher, I just want him to know that he's loved and be safe. And I think if I know that about him, then I can feel all those things too. It's so simple, If I know that, like, if he lives in a residential home someday, if he's happy and safe and treated with respect, I think then I can detach from him in a healthy way, in a way of, oh, my son's 35 years old and I'm able to feel like I have some distance from my children, which to me, I think will bring me a sense of joy to be like, okay, all my kids are safe. That's, to me, that's the simplest thing.
Yes.
Safety and taking care of. And honestly, I don't know, how many children do you have?
I have two, a
You have two.
7 and an almost 5-year-old. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm curious for you because I know for me, so yours is swapped. Your disabled son is your second. Okay. So my Asher is our first, and then we had two other kids. I feel like having a child with a disability, I would answer that question exactly the same for all three of them now. What would bring you, like, how would I find peace as a mom? I want them to know that they're loved and I want them to be safe. I don't care what grade you get in science. I don't care if you get a doctorate degree. I don't care what you do for a living. Are you safe? Are you loved? Like, that is all I want. So I feel like I'm not one for silver linings, but I feel like what a gift that I'm able to look at my children and say, like, that's all I want for you. I don't care grades, whatever, do your best. You're not going to get like, are you okay? All your chromosomes are there? Yes. Honestly, I just feel like it shifted what success looks like. It's shifted where I find meaning in life. It's shifted what's important. Like, are you happy? Are you loved? Are you a good human?
Yeah, you
Great.
and I are in complete agreement there. I
Yes.
had a meeting with my older son who does not have a disability. I had a meeting with his teacher about how he was doing, and she was going over all the specifics of math and all the specifics of English. And I was like, I'm so grateful for this, and it sounds like he's doing great. Can you just tell me, is he loved? Like, is he kind?
Does he have friends? Is he a bully?
I just want to know about that.
Yes.
And she looked at me like, yeah, he's like, she said he's one of the most ingratiating kids in the class. That's
Exactly.
what I care about.
Exactly.
You know, that's what I care about. I care about
Exactly.
raising kind humans.
Yes. But how that has shifted. And I'm a very high achiever. I can be a type A personality. I can be so driven. And it has been so like good for me to be like, that stuff really doesn't matter. Like it really doesn't matter, you know?
Well,
At the end of the day, yeah. Am I kind? Am I, leaving a legacy of like treating people well and loving people? Like that's all that I care about. It's just like so thankful for that perspective.
yes, I really couldn't agree more. And I think that it perfectly fits with what we've been talking about today, because that extra pressure of having the kids do well and having the kids succeed and having the kids check off all the boxes of what society puts pressure
Yeah.
on them, that's adding more to our plate.
Yes.
And any chance we can to offload that and say, you know what, like, we're not promised tomorrow, we've
That's
got
right.
today.
That's
So
right.
we're gonna live in today. Sure, we take some steps, and I'm right there with you that I definitely fall in the sort of high achieving, like, want to get things done
Yeah.
person. But Jed has shifted that for me,
Yeah.
because each day that I've gotten with him has been a gift, considering that when he was in the womb, he had lots of things going against him,
Yeah.
you know, and he's a warrior just by being here,
Yes.
you know?
His
And so
existence is worth
it
celebrating. That's right.
exactly. And it's like looking at those victories, and again, not in a oh, I can't feel the hard things way,
Right.
but in
Right.
that, like, that helps me
Yes.
get out of those slumps.
Yes. Yes. And the beauty of seeing all of it, the beauty of being like, this is really unfair. And there are days that are hard. And I wish that he didn't have these struggles. I wish that I didn't have these struggles. And I'm so thankful he's alive. I love him. I love the community that, I've developed because of him. And every day is a gift with him. Like being able to see both sides of the coin just help you be more true to what you're really feeling. Like if we pushed one side down, it would feel inauthentic. So there's such beauty in just seeing the whole perspective.
Yeah. And it makes the good times so much sweeter
Yes,
when
absolutely.
you're able to look back and see what you've come through, and
Yes,
to acknowledge that. And I do think it can be hard, um, to your point earlier, when somebody asks how you are, and sometimes saying, wow, it's really hard, can make you quite vulnerable. And
definitely.
I sometimes just don't want to cry or don't
Yeah,
want to get mad. And
yeah,
so I don't always know who's safe, if that makes sense.
definitely. I think we have to have our guard up there because the reality is we're in tune to people's responses. And if they have a response that's awkward, we're going to shut it down and say, but it's fine. This week's a lot better than last week. And really, I'm fine. But anyway, how are you doing? We're pros at that, right? We're pros at reading the room. And so that's the importance of finding your people, especially other parents of disabled children, that you can say, today was a really bad day. And they're like, oh my gosh, I get it. Tell me about it. Right. So
Yes.
knowing your people, like, we can't be an open book to everybody because not everybody can handle that. And that's okay.
Yes. What would you say have been some of the most rewarding parts of being Asher's mom, the things that you have learned and grown to know about yourself through the process?
I mean, Asher makes friends everywhere. He's such a light. He's so capable of connecting to people. There's just something about his spark that I think draws people in, and people love him. And it's been on the days when I feel frustrated with him and frustrated with our lives, it's helpful to remember all of the good things about him too. And remember that, he is a joy. He brings joy everywhere he goes. And I mean, Asher marches to the beat of his own drum, which has been very helpful for me to just be like, slow down. The day doesn't have to be based on, the 6 things I have scheduled today. I've learned flexibility. I mean, I'm so thankful for that. As my kind of rigid personality, I've learned to be flexible. I've learned to be more in tune to what I'm feeling. I've learned to try and meet Asher there, like the same ways I care for myself. I care for him, just being in the present moment and acknowledging our feelings. And sometimes our feelings shut things down. Sometimes he's having a meltdown, which means we can't go to the thing. And sometimes I'm having a meltdown, which means we can't go to the thing. So I think just having Asher as my son has taught me flexibility. It's taught me the ability to pivot when I need to. It's taught me in a lot of ways what really matters in life. And I'm still learning, I'm still learning. We have really, really hard days with Asher, really hard days. And on those days, I need the reminder of everything I wrote in my book, because it's hard. Like I fully acknowledge how hard the hard days can be. And there's no platitude that can make that easier. Sometimes it's really just sitting in the hard feelings and getting to a new day. And I'll never sugarcoat that. That's for sure. So just learning to like meet myself where I am, meet my family where we are. Life isn't meant to be perfect.
Yeah, no, that's right. And there's a spirit of resilience to that,
Yes.
it is a gift and it's a hard gift, but the resilience of coming through what we do and facing
Yeah.
each day, that's refining
Yes.
to
Absolutely.
us. And it's a gift to be able to say that those things are hard and wonderful,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I would I would be curious to know, to someone who's thinking about reading your book and maybe they're short on time and they're looking for a book to
Yeah.
read and they're like, I don't have time to read 2 books.
Yeah.
So should I read this one? What would be something you would love for them to know about it, like a takeaway for them as they dive into reading your book?
Well, one thing that I think is really cool is my publisher happens to be, and I've said this a lot, so people might have already heard this, but my publisher happens to be the same publisher as What to Expect When You're Expecting.
Amazing.
Right. And I love that because I've always hated the book, What to Expect When You're Expecting, or The Toddler Years, all that. It's never resonated with me, of course. And so my hope is that my book can be a companion for parents, not just to pick it up and read it, but, maybe like, I have a copy of it somewhere, but maybe like you're reading, your child is in the teenage years. And so I have a entire chapter on puberty. Maybe you just pick up the book and you just read the puberty chapter. You're like, that's all I have right now. I don't want to dig into the past. I don't want to think about birth. I don't want to think about adulthood. Okay, read the puberty chapters. And again, remember, the book isn't how to parent a child. It's how to take care of yourself while parenting. And so the puberty chapter is all about stuff that comes up with our kids during puberty, but with the lens focused on the parent. What's coming up for you when you have to talk to your child about masturbation, or when you have to talk to your child about having your period and there's hygiene issues, like these are very real things that we face. There's lots of material on how to do it, how to parent. There's very little material on what's coming up for me when we're doing all this. And so the book is on the parents' care, the parents' perspective, what comes up for you. It's very clearly broken up into really clear chapters where it's very clear what you're reading about. I would just say, if you don't have a lot of time, pick up the book and listen to or read the chapter that resonates most with you right now. And if you're not ready for the other stuff, like maybe your birth was really traumatic and you had NICU stuff and you're not ready to face it, skip the first part of the book. If you're ready to get back there later, do it, And so I really hope that parents will use it as like a guidebook for what they're going through to take care of themselves where they are right here, right now.
I love that advice. And it probably makes a lot of people like us really uncomfortable to hear that
I
because you
know,
think,
right?
well, if I start it, I have to finish it,
Like, I
right?
can't just read chapter 4. What? What do you do? Yes, you can just read chapter 4. I'm the author and I said it. So,
You're giving permission.
yes,
Thank you.
that's right. You don't have to
Yeah,
read the whole thing.
that's what shelves are for. You can put it up and then you can pull it back down.
Exactly. And I also recorded the audiobook. So if you're more of an audiobook person, put it on while you're going for a walk, just chapter 4, whatever you need.
I love a good audiobook for those long drives.
Me
I
too.
love it. Some people say they can't focus, but I actually am an auditory learner.
I'm the
And so
same.
I love it. I
Exactly.
love it.
Exactly.
Oh, that's so great. What a tremendous resource this book is. But Amanda, you have been such a resource for me personally from the very early days for things that I didn't always have words to. I think that's the powerful thing is that you'll be feeling something and you don't know what it is. And then a quote or like that post that I read from, that I read just a few days ago resonated so much with me because I can't always understand what's going on in my body. And then I'm like, oh, that's some trauma from
Yes.
what I've been through. Okay. And I do have a counselor, but I'm not there every day.
Not there every day. Me too. I'm only there on Thursdays. It's not enough.
Exactly. So what do you do on the off days? And so being able to identify that, and I think pages like yours and resources like what you're providing are so important for that because we're equipping and empowering ourselves as moms
Yes.
and as women and as
Yes.
people,
Yes. Well, thank you, Misty. Thanks
Yes.
for your flexibility too. Again,
Absolutely. I
we're
know,
just
right?
rolling
We're
with it.
resilient, we're flexible, we're rolling with the punches. Thank you, Amanda, for everything that you do in our community. We're
Thank
so
you.
grateful you would be on the show again.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Conquering Your Clownfish. If you liked what we discussed on the podcast today and want to continue the conversation, please visit us at conqueringyourclownfish.com. And please don't forget to subscribe.